Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for being here, and we're so pleased to be in New London to discuss economic development with all of our legislative, business, educational, and nonprofit partners. And we had a very productive conversation, and we are delighted to chat with the media. And I'll just say the focus of our discussion was job creation and economic development in the New London area and in eastern Connecticut. And we had representatives from businesses, nonprofits, colleges, and labor. And we are so happy to be in New London and to talk about that. So with that, Ned, you want to say a couple words?
I guess so. It was, hey, first of all, I really appreciate the fact that we have a bipartisan group up here because we are working together, getting this state moving again. And I really wanted to come here first, Susan and I did, a part of the state where we really do have the wind to our back, as they might remind us when it comes to wind
Literally
power.
and figuratively.
This is the energy capital of our state. We talked about Millstone. We talked about how we bring down the price of power, how we keep this state growing again. But it really was a question of attitude as well. We just said this state has so many extraordinary advantages, and we need people who talk about the strength of our state. The folks that are from the colleges stood up and said, we have one of the best college systems in the country. Kids from all over the country want to come to Connecticut to educate people. And this is why we want to make sure they stay here. We train people for the jobs that are here. We talked about electric boat and advanced manufacturing. And, all right, we're not Silicon Valley when it comes to computer science, but we are the Silicon Valley of advanced manufacturing. And you look at the tens of thousands of jobs being created by electric boat and all their supply chain. And finally, I'm looking at Tony Sheridan over here who said, you know, you need a governor who's going to be a champion for the state and all the things that we're doing right. And you also need the business community and the not-for-profit community and the labor community. I need people to stand up and believe that we got some great times ahead of us in this state. We're going to get through this fiscal thing over the next 12 months. We're going to do it by working together. And then going forward, we're going to make the investments we need to get this state moving again. I think I heard a lot of positive response on that. And that's why we're here today and proud to be here in New London. Proud to be here at the Guard when I'm not doing a debate, by the way. Does anybody want to ask Heather a question?
I'm not ready to debate.
And we also do want to say thank you to our host, Mayor Passero, and we have some other mayors and first selectmen as well from Montville and Groton City, and we so appreciate their being with us today.
Governor,
Spit it out, Mark.
Senator Thomas, tell us why you decided this specific area to come to first. This is your first trip as governor-elect, aside from to the governor's mansion. Why did you specifically select this part of the state?
Because, as I said before, I want to go to different parts of the state where we really have some positive energy. You look at what's going on in the pier, you look what's going on in terms of wind power, you look at expansion of Millstone, you see the 12,000 folks they need to hire right at EB. That's where I'm going to be going next in the next hour or so. And to talk about where we have a positive momentum and how a governor, lieutenant governor, state government doesn't get in the way, but does just the opposite, does everything we can to help this growth continue and take advantage of the momentum we've got. And by the way, Mayor Mike insisted this be my first stop, and I never say no to the mayor.
I had a question for Senator Formica or maybe Heather Summers.
Okay. Well, seeing as I was called out, I'm happy to answer
Yeah,
that.
of course, of course.
How are you?
Good. I think that the key that I'm hearing the message is that working together. This has been a tough election for a lot of people. Is this more than just symbolic? Is it that you really hope that both sides will come together and you can revitalize this area?
Well, of course, I hope it's more than symbolic, and I felt that today. It's refreshing to have a governor-elect and a lieutenant governor-elect that have come and invited us and embraced us to have a seat at the table. I felt that our suggestions and our ideas were taken, seriously and with consideration. And I hope the best thing that we can do for the state of Connecticut is to work together to better the state of Connecticut, to make sure that our young people have jobs, that our employers want to stay here, and that we can fix this continuing financial crisis that we've seen. So working together definitely is the way to go, and that's what I heard. And it's day one, and I hope that this continues.
What do we do to make sure that there are welders and other types of technicians for the kinds of jobs that they need over the next 5 or 10 years across the river for all of these projects that have been approved at the federal level?
Is that for me, or is that for? That's for.
Whoever wants to
Okay.
take it.
Well, Ned and I just wanted to say about that's one of the reasons why we have all of our partners here. We have representatives from education. We also have our partners in labor and business leaders, because we want to start that pipeline from school to work so our young people know when they graduate they have great paying jobs waiting. And we heard from the president of Connecticut College that they're churning out computer scientists and young people that are ready to go to work at Dominion.
Jobs that they need, pardon me for interrupting you,
Yep.
but I think the jobs that they need are like arc welding jobs. And I mean, they're talking about putting submarines together.
That's right, and that's why we have Three Rivers and community colleges to do that.
If I could just, we've been working on the manufacturing pipeline with the Eastern Workforce Investment Board. We have $50 million already built into the bond package to expand workforce development. Each and every one of the elected officials here have been working towards that. We hired 2,000 people last year, and we need to continue with that. Last summer, Norwich Free Academy worked on a private-public partnership with getting high school students involved in the trades. Ram High School up in Hebron has been accepted as another hub to work on that. So we will be working on that to get people into what is a very honorable position in the trades, whether it's welding or machinists or sheet metal fabrication or it's carpentry or it's electricians or plumbers. These are jobs that we are working on right now, and we've done it in combination with employers, and the workforce investment programs and community colleges and high schools. And I think we need to continue with that, because that's how we get out of this morass. It's through the growing of our economy, and that's where we are. And I'm so hopeful today that we can expand those programs with the governor-elect and the lieutenant governor-elect. They indicated today that they are very interested in growing those sorts of jobs, and I think that that's important. That's how we'll get those jobs filled.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the groundwork is there, the commitment is there, some of the money is there. What more is needed to ramp up that program to get more skilled workers?
Look, I was meeting with the Workforce Development Board a couple years ago, meeting with Electric Boat, making sure we're aligning our education system and workforce development with the jobs that are out there. And it's a competitive environment. I mean, right across the river, there's Rhode Island. They've got a community college, which seems to be designed around how to build a submarine. And I love Gina Raimondo, but I want those jobs staying right here in Connecticut. So we are going to continue to invest in our community college and workforce development and make sure that Jeffrey Geiger has all the people he needs for the next 10 years right here in Connecticut.
Can I ask about two other major employers in the region that haven't been doing as well for a while now, and that's Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun. I know during the campaign, Governor-elect, you weren't really weighing in too much on whether there should be a casino in Bridgeport. You kind of said that's for the legislature if they want to establish a priority there. But I'm curious how these two employers fit into your strategy for the region, and if you see some role for the state beyond what's already being planned to try to bolster them.
Yeah. Well, Paul just reminded me, we're talking about Electric Boat. We're also talking about an enormous supply chain. So when you're championing for small business, those are all the jobs that feed in there. and is going to be a part of that training program. Right now, you go for they go for jobs. They go to the folks in the supply chain, and they're having a hard time filling. Look, the tribes have been amazing partners for this state going back a generation. What they mean in terms of not just revenues, but in terms of tourism and attracting people to this state. And we're not going to forget that. I know the gambling is changing. We talked a little bit inside about sports betting and how we've been a little slow off the draw, Connecticut, and making sure that I want us to have a first mover advantage there. And I can't do that unless we have the tribes at the table as part of what we got to do. But that's why I have a governor. I mean, we've got to take the lead on this. We've got to solve it so we get out of the box early.
Just a quick follow. Do you see
Last question.
as in decline for this region, and it's just about stemming the decline and focusing on other priorities?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
I just want to hear this.
I'll just repeat what I heard in back. Both chairmen were here, and they said, they want a governor who's going to be a champion. I broadened it. I was talking about tourism. I was talking about how we sell this state, make this the place we want to be. And look, gaming is part of the entire hospitality business. It's a piece of our overall tourism. We had Mystic Seaport here as well. I mean, this is part of what we are, especially here in southeast Connecticut. This is our most tourist-centered part of the state. And so we're going to be strong partners going forward, doing everything we can to attract more and more people to take a look at the state as tourists, stay in the state, and maybe spend a few bucks while they're here.
Did you say Rodney and Kevin were both here?
Yeah.
Yes? Yep.
There was one more thing I wanted to ask. Do you think that perhaps other parts of the state don't realize what a significant driver that road plant is? John Larson makes the point that there are actually more subcontractors in the first district than there are in this district.
We realize that, and that's why we're here. And 2 points I would just say about the tribal leaders. The tribes are 2 very important employers in this part of the state, and they are diversifying beyond gaming. They're very involved in entertainment and other areas. And Mark, to your point before about workforce development, and Susan, one of the reasons we wanted to have this meeting is because there are emerging opportunities. With the building of the wind farm, we know that there will be more opportunities for tradespeople, and that's why we want to work with labor and our educational institutions to make sure we have the trained people for those jobs that hopefully aren't happening in the too distant future.
Thank you.
How's that? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.